Now I want to create some more cards, and often when we have visuals, we don't want to create things from scratch every single time. We want to duplicate things, be able to customize them. And that's really important, being able to modify a particular visual. I need to show another 5 cards for population density per kilometre, and for Europe, for Asia, Africa, Oceania, and the Americas. I'm going to take a copy of this card here and modify it. So Control C, Control V, and I'll just pop it into place. Now, how I want to modify it, first of all, is this particular card is showing me the population for Europe and for 2020, because this slice is impacting it as well. If I want to change it to density, I'm going to expand in my fields pane the density query, and I'm going to untick population and I'm going to tick density. So now density has become the value that that card is showing. I need to make sure that the continent is Europe, which is correct. And I need to format this card so it looks correct. Now it is summing the density in here in this fields bucket. I want the average density, so I'm going to change that to average. So it's the average density. And I also need it to be renamed. So I'm going to hit the drop down and I'm going to rename for this visual. And what I want to name it is average, my mouse is sitting in the way, per km. And now I need a squared symbol. To get the squared symbol, hold the Alt key and go 0178 on your number pad, and then let the Alt key go. Alt 0178, let the Alt key go, and that's squared. If you, let me backspace, if you wanted cubed, Alt 0179 gives you cubed, backspace, Alt 0176 gives you degrees. But I want squared, so Alt 0178 and let that go. If I press enter, then that's the label that appears on that visual. So that's average density per kilometre. Now the problem I have is the units will be in billions. So I need to click that card, go to format this visual. I need to go to call out value where I see my billions, and I need to change that back to auto for this particular statistic. And so I am getting 378 for Europe and for that year, and that's my average per kilometre. Now I also don't want it to be blue. I'm going to go for this sort of khaki yellow, F5C869, and so that has a different look about it, and that's the look I'm after. I might just stretch that just a smidgen. Now, a little trick as well is when you click on a visual, use your arrow key to go down, just nudging it down and nudging it up. Those arrow keys and left and right are super, super handy. Also, when you drag something, it does tend to snap, you know, often in relation to the other visuals on the page. Hold the Alt key and drag, and there's no snapping. Alt drag makes it glide. So I'll glide it into position and then just let it go. I really like those. There are a couple of tricks that are really good. Now I also need to duplicate. So I'm now going to click on this, Control C, Control V. Once I know I've got it perfect, then I duplicate it. That's Asia, Control V Africa, Control V Oceania, and Control V Americas. Again, put them into position ever so carefully. All right, and then I'm going to lasso them all, just drag over them. Haven't quite caught the last two. Shift key, click, click, and then I'll go to format and I'll align to the top, and that's align those to the top. I could, if I wanted to, go up through the middle of these, or again, sometimes the shift key is easier, and align those, format, align through the middle, through the center, and do the same with these, align through the center, and these align through the center, And these, they need an F4 repeat key. A line through the center, and this a line through the center. Okay. And then this one, I need to get into the filter pane and change the continent from Europe to Asia. And close that. And this one, I need to change the continent to Africa. And this one, I need to change it to Oceania. And this one to the Americas, and both of the Americas, North and South, and close that. Now, one thing you may have noticed is none of these are actually changing, and that is because they're still tied to the continent that comes from population and not the continent that comes from density. This one here, I'm going to get rid of continent. I'm going to remove that filter. And now I'm going to grab continent from the density and drop it in there. And I'm then going to choose Europe, and that's caused a change. And I will then collapse that. This one here, so be careful. So this particular continent has come from population because we duplicated that card. So I'm going to get rid of that continent. I'm going to add this continent from density, and I'm going to tell it that that is Asia. And do the same for each one. So there's pluses and minuses for duplicating things. And this one is delete continent Oceania. And this one, delete, grab the continent from here, and that is North and South America, and collapse. That's better. Okay, and just choose the year. I might actually, 2020 I might choose. I was having a play with the years, 2020. And why I'm doing that is I just want to see a change as I click on things. You may not see much of a change in the density due to the data. So 2020, and close that. The other thing I think might be worth doing is if I click this and format this visual, not only did we want to change the unit to auto, but I think the decimal places should be 0 so that you can see clearly. The ... is because of the accuracy. So I'm actually going to select this whole group of cards, and I'm going to go format, and I'm going to go category label, call out value, and change the decimal places to 0. And then I don't get the ... carrying on. So as I change then between different years, I can see values changing. Let's go back to 2020. Yeah, the accuracy is not so vast in that collection of data. One thing I'm also noticing is as I change the year, I'm getting changes in the population, but I'm not getting changes in the density. Now the reason for that is when we created this slicer, we used this field year from the population query. And really we should use something that's independent of population, because this year is affecting the populations, but it's not affecting the densities. So I'm actually going to click on the slicer, take the year off just by hitting this X, and grab the year out of the years query. So it's independent of population and independent of density, and drag that into the data field. Then when I go and change the year, let me just rock on down to 2020, I get changes in both of them. And 2025 is changes in both of them. So watch out for your filters and where it's actually getting the field from. So I need my years to be independent. That's why we have this independent particular table. And I need these cards to get its information from population and these cards to get its information from density. And so that's the impact of the fields. And something to be wary of, especially when you've got fields of a similar name, it's making sure that they're getting them from the right place. Really important. So that's why I wanted to cover that. So I'm just going to put this on 2020. So you can see it there. It's reacting as far as my population and my density. And we'll leave it on 2020. Okay, so cards and duplicating cards and modifying those cards and understanding the motivators and the drivers behind those cards. And that's that.